This is Fountain
Every
Street
week I find
Church.
it hard to find the best ones, but somehow, like I said, you'll hear what I'm trying to say even when the words
Here,
aren't.
we strive to free the mind, grow the soul, and change the world. Here, there is freedom to doubt and freedom to believe. Here, you can find a house of prayer for all people.
The swallow up Jonah.
Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Join us on the journey.
I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that the beautiful solo we were expecting to hear, Kirsten's voice did not arrive this morning the way she had hoped, so we're going to wait for another beautiful day to do that. But Isabel Morrison has another voice. Is that a violin or a viola? It's a viola, which means it has that funny, slightly deeper but not really deep sound. And Isabel's going to play for our meditation and our prayer, but this week's meditation and prayer is you. This is the ofrenda, or that we have created in early worship for the past few weeks, in honor of the custom of the Day of the Dead, El Día de los Muertos, in Mexico and other Central American countries. A day, actually several days, in which ancestors are remembered, invited to come and eat, and welcomed back into our lives. I'll talk a little more about why that's important even to us, but I invited those who wanted to bring a memento, as would be true in Mexico, to place up here. And in a moment I'm going to ask you, and we will help you if you want us to help you at the bottom of the stairs, Ruth and I, to bring up that photograph or that object and position it here. And I welcome anyone to come up during the next 5 or so minutes, because Marilyn's going to help play a little music after Lee is done. You might want to stand up here. You ready? Come on up. And take your time. This is a long meditation, and it's a walking meditation. The prayer is you putting something there or seeing someone else's to acknowledge our ancestors and to pause in honor of their presence and continuing presence in our lives. So I invite you now to come and complete this table of gratitude, this ofrenda para el Día de los Muertos. And love to see what you brought. Thanks much. Didn't the music work beautifully? Thank you. Grace is a word that means gifts that you don't know you're going to get and really don't deserve, but you get them anyway. Thank you for the music and for the offerings. And I want to point out that I'll stay here during the postlude, and for those who wish, please come and look, behold. A lot of faces you don't know, but they're precious to someone. And I think that that's good during the postlude or a little thereafter. But if you brought something, please, after the postlude, don't forget them. I'm going to be adding to a friend of myself. I have a pocket watch here. It hasn't worked in 40 years, so it's not a timepiece. It keeps a piece of time from a great uncle who died a number of years ago, and is a connection to the grandmother who bore my father but died in childbirth. That's what they're for, aren't they? Well, first of all, I need to let you know that I haven't been sleeping all that well this week. It's one of those afflictions. We all have afflictions, those places in our bodies that don't work as well as we'd like them. For me, it's sleep. Maybe for you, it's lower back pain, that they used to call lumbago, or whatever it is. We all have those weak parts of our bodies, and I'm kind of used to it, but it means that I'm a little more fog-bound than I like. In some ways, to be a little sleep-deprived is to feel like November in the soul, kind of sere and bare and brown. Of course, every season, when you think about it, has blessings to offer. Nature obviously plays no favorites. Oh, that we humans could be more like that. We are sunny weather people. We love our springs. We love our summers. And as long as the trees have golden leaves, we even love autumn. Oh, that we could appreciate the bareness of November and the bitterness of January. And it makes me wonder, are there seasons in the soul, times when we are more sanguine and more melancholy, more phlegmatic or more choleric? You remember those words for moods? And are there then fruits from the tree of every season, a diet of moods, all of which are required to make us fully human? Well, whichever one of these I am serving out this morning, it won't be the sanguine. I hope it's not the choleric. Perhaps a wise dose of the melancholy and the phlegmatic will serve us all. I pray it nourishes us all. And may these words, therefore, of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be found true in thy sight, O thou who art my rock and my Redeemer. November is a month of remembering when you think about it. Last week we had Halloween, which is the word that means the day before All Saints, and that's the day before All Souls, November 1st and 2nd. Of course, we don't observe that as much in the country anymore, unless you're a good Roman Catholic. Chances are passed by as just the day after Halloween. And here at Fountain Street Church, since we're not very liturgical, we don't look at those niceties quite as much as perhaps others, but this table reminds us there's a Mexican community in our midst for whom the Day of the Dead, October 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd, are important cultural events, even if they're not religious. That's because it's blended from pre-Hispanic religion and colonial Christianity. That's one part of the month. There's another part later. Veterans Day will be next week, next Sunday, a poignant time for many people. Of course, I'm just old enough to remember when my grandmother called it Armistice Day, because it was the end of the war that didn't end all wars. Makes me think of that poem we all heard when we were my age. That is, as boys, when someone would get up on Veterans Day and say, "In Flanders field the poppies grow, between the crosses row on row." Goes on to say, "We are the dead, short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field." A Canadian wrote that poem, very heartfelt and poignant. And of course, even though we don't think about it much, the names of those of this neighborhood who went to those Flanders fields are etched in our own tower room. We being the custodians of the First World War Memorial. Thanks to David Doyle and others for pointing us back to that tender trust. And of course, by the end of the month, we'll be all going to our Thanksgiving dinners, whether over rivers or through woods or just around the corner, or maybe waiting for everyone to show up. And Thanksgiving, that's our national Eucharist when you think about it. I'm not being glib or flip here. I mean, Eucharist is a Greek word that means literally Thanksgiving, and it is a meal. And it's meant to be a remembrance. Do this in remembrance of me, say the Christians. But when we get together over the turkey and the potatoes and the sweet potatoes with the little marshmallows on top and the green beans with the cream of mushroom soup or whatever is the elements of your communion service, it's not for the food, it's for the recollection. It's not just the stories, but the smells and the rituals and the patterns that bring back the presence of parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts. When we make that meal, we not only collect all the food and all the friends and all the family, we collect all the memories, don't we?